Well, welcome back to Civically Minded, the podcast where I give you practical theology for everyday life. I'm your host, Corey Wing, and today we're diving into the 24 biggest news stories from 2024. It's our year end review. So, from politics to finance, sports to entertainment, and global news, and well, a few things in between, we'll explore the key moments from a wild year. And if you stick around to the end, I'll wrap up with some timeless perspectives from Scripture so that we can face 2025 with renewed hope. Well, let's start where I start so many things on this channel. Let's dive into politics. And well, 2024 was nothing short of dramatic in the political arena. In the UK, the Labour Party achieved a landslide victory, reshaping the political landscape after years of conservative leadership. Now, the jury's still out on whether this is going to be a positive or a negative for the country. And quite honestly, I can't wait to see what happens with the brand new party that is now being led by Nigel Farage. So I'm going to be eager to see in the coming years how that all pans out. In Asia, South Korea's political stability was tested as President Yoon Sung Yeol declared martial law amid escalating turmoil. His impeachment and suspension by the National Assembly reflected deep divisions within that nation. And of course, recently in Syria, President Bashar al Assad's departure to Moscow signaled the end of an era, leaving the nation at a real crossroads. His regime collapsed amid mounting international isolation, economic instability, and renewed internal dissent. The culmination of years of civil war, dwindling Russian support, and sanctions created an environment where maintaining control was no longer tenable, and it forced Assad to flee and plunged Syria into real uncertainty. I, of course, am very concerned about Christianity there and the Christians that are now being persecuted under a increasingly hostile government that's coming to power. In Europe, Romania faced a political crisis of its own, and the Constitutional Court annulled its presidential election altogether, citing allegations of Russian interference. In Africa, Ghana saw a familiar face return to power as former President John Mahama reclaimed the presidency, promising unity and progress. Meanwhile, in France, they faced intense political unrest with mass protests and strikes disrupting the nation in response to controversial pension reforms and debates over their actual governance. But it would be America that would kind of swallow all of the political headlines for the whole year. It was the obvious mental decline of President Joe Biden and the public's loss of confidence in his leadership that would lead to a last minute decision to change the Democrat nominee to Vice President Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. But it would be the polarizing and always entertaining Donald Trump and his reelection bid that would really overshadow all other political news stories this year. Multiple indictments and what many would call lawfare used against the former president would dominate headlines for much of the year. But when the dust settled, 2024 marked the return of Donald Trump to the White House, making him the first U.S. president to serve non consecutive terms since Grover Cleveland. His campaign focused on economic revitalization, securing a failed immigration system complete with open borders, and promises to restore American greatness. However, his presidential bid began under a shadow, as an assassination attempt in July and another in September shocked the nation and led to heightened security measures. The initial incident in Butler, Pennsylvania, galvanized his supporters and would lead to the most successful Republican National Convention in decades. This would, of course, be capped off by the red wave victory in November, seeing our 45th president reelected as now our 47th president. And the Republicans would take control of both the House and the Senate. And the vaunted red wave that was promised in 2020 and again in 2022, but never came, has now finally surged in 2024. Let's move to the world of finance for a moment. And the financial world had its fair share of highs and lows this year as well. Wall Street celebrated a milestone as the Dow Jones Industrial Average soared past 40,000 points. Honestly, a figure that I never thought possible. So it signaled strong investor confidence. But again, is it real? Cryptocurrency also gained legitimacy with the US Securities and Exchange Commission approving Bitcoin's ETF status, a move many hailed as a turning point for the digital currency. Meanwhile, major corporate mergers reshaped industries, including the historic partnership of Honda and Nissan. However, the year wasn't without challenges either. Near historic inflation and significant job cuts across many sectors made for some extremely trying times for many Americans. But even amid these shifts, wealth management firms outperformed traditional trust managers, signaling a change in how investors are navigating these turbulent markets. On to sports, 2024 was a monumental year in sports as well. And it would be headlined, of course, by the Paris Summer Olympics and its opening ceremony of sacrilegious homoerotica and debauchery. Now, the Games offered breathtaking moments like the Turkish pistol ace Youssef Dikik, who will ever forget the Australian breakdancing squad. I know I won't. But it'd be Simone Biles stealing the spotlight at the Games. After a turbulent 2020, she returned, determined to win gold, and that she did multiple times. In baseball, Shohei Ohtani would deliver a postseason for the ages, leading to the Los Angeles Dodgers' second World Series victory in the last 5 years and solidifying his place as one of the sport's most notable athletes. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs dominated the NFL, securing back to back Super Bowl titles. And really, in 2024, it was women's sports that saw exponential growth, with athletes like Caitlin Clark propelling basketball and the WNBA to new heights, even while somehow gaining the ire and disrespect of most of the players in the league. It seems gaining viewers and market share was not part of the WNBA business plan, or at least no one told the players. Boxing also faced some credibility issues, exemplified by the highly publicized match between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. It aired on Netflix, of course, and this fight was not only plagued by bandwidth problems due to its massive global viewership, but its headlining fight was, well, lackluster at best, and many saw it merely as a cash grab and publicity stunt. In the world of entertainment, Taylor Swift's record breaking Eras Tour finally ended, but it captivated audiences worldwide. While her love affair with NFL star Travis Kelce was making her a household name among middle aged dads who had only known T Swift because of the posters in their daughters' bedrooms. But it would be a pop star from the 90s and early 2000s that again would kind of drown out all the headlines. Puff Daddy, or P. Diddy, or simply Diddy, would be arrested on multiple charges of sexual trafficking, sexual impropriety, rape, and other heinous crimes, and we still await to see where that's going to head. It reminded many of the Jeffrey Epstein files, and I know I, for one, am hopeful that in 2025, some of the people in these black books from these sex traffickers will come to light and justice will be done. On to global news. The global stage, of course, was marked by significant events and challenges as well. The Russian and Ukrainian war waged on throughout the entirety of the year, costing hundreds of thousands of lives and billions of dollars in aid. Meanwhile, the Israel Hamas conflict also intensified, claiming thousands of lives of their own and deepening geopolitical tensions, certainly within the region, but also within the US and Europe, where many young people and increased immigrant populations sided with Hamas. Natural disasters also made headlines this year, from flooding in Brazil and Dubai to a devastating earthquake in Japan. And of course, here more close to home, who can forget Hurricanes Helene and Milton that devastated the southeastern part of the United States? 2024 saw its fair share of ecological and meteorological disasters. Many here in the Appalachian Mountains are still without homes and will be digging out and rebuilding for years to come. So, in such a chaotic year, where of course there's been some real highs and some real lows, what do we think? How do we move forward? Well, quite honestly, as we reflect on those highs and lows of 2024, it's clear that our world is constantly shifting and changing. Yet, amidst the triumphs and the trials, we find hope in the timeless truths of God's inerrant word. In Psalm 46, verse 1, we're reminded, quote, God is our refuge and strength, an ever present help in times of trouble, end quote. So, whether we're celebrating victories or navigating challenges, we can draw strength from promises like that one. I'm also reminded of Jesus' own words in John chapter 16, verse 33, where he reminds his disciples, quote, in this world you will have trials and tribulations, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world, end quote. And of course, I often think of Deuteronomy 31:6, which says, quote, "Be strong and of good courage. Do not fear nor be afraid of them. For the Lord your God, he is the one who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you." End quote. Now, these truths anchor us as we look ahead, encouraging us to face the future with faith, resilience, and hope. And I hope that's what you are doing here tonight, the last night of 2024, as you look towards tomorrow, the first day of a new year in 2025. I want to say thank you for joining me on this special year in review episode of Civically Minded. I also want to say thank you so much for just being a part of my channel and my life. Civically Minded has been a real gift to me and my family. I've enjoyed making episodes, and I hope you've enjoyed watching them. So may the lessons of 2024 guide us, and may we find peace and purpose as we step into the new year. Until next time, for Civically Minded, I'm Corey Wing.